Is it working?
Yeah,
You're looking at the old one? Okay, good afternoon or good morning. Welcome to the Climate Exchange live stream. Apologies, we had some issues where we couldn't start the other one for some reason. It just kept giving us the same error, and we had to create a new link. So we will get that up on our website and a few other places to make sure people are aware. You're hearing me? Yeah? Okay. All right. First thing I wanted to explain, and I'm sure I'll explain it again later, is that we know that last year the barrel got very full when we went from 4,000 to 5,000 tickets, which we did to accommodate the more expensive Plaid S. This year we are doing 5,000 tickets, but you can see that the size of the ticket is significantly reduced, probably about half or less. So we should have a lot more room in the barrel this time for the tickets, and we will make sure they're moving around. Okay. All right, I guess we'll just get started. Tickets 1 through 100. And while I'm doing this, I'll also be sharing a little bit of the history of Climate Exchange and the history of this raffle. We've been doing this this is our 7th year now, and we maybe you can help me, Jonah. Some of these, you'll see the seal has already been opened. It's because our auditors have been going through with us and making sure that through a random sampling that we have all the tickets included. Okay, these are 76 through 100. 51 through 75. What I'm going to do, can you grab the tape and just
keep that
put
steady.
a piece of tape so
Sure,
that it
yeah.
won't keep spinning on me? Okay. All right, now we're at 151 to 175. You can see this process is going to take a while. 126 to 150. And 101 to 125.
Just go on this.
Yeah, but don't do it too hard because I'm going to have to unhook it to spin it occasionally.
Right.
So, okay. And 176 to 200. Maybe flip the order, yeah, so I can get at them. Okay. Now we're in the 2 to 300s. So, Climate Exchange was started in 2013 by a group of people in and around Boston who wanted to see a price on carbon as the, I guess economists have shown, is the best way to drive carbon reductions. They worked on that in a coalition with another group called Climate Action Business Association. I was actually on the board of CABA. Let's stick to one folder at a time so I don't get confused. And Climate Action Business Association and Climate XChange merged in, when was that, about 2016. And so I was not involved in the first raffle, which took place, which took, okay,
From 300.
which took place in 2015. In fact, I bought tickets for that one. But since then, I've been involved, and in the last 3 or so, I've been the raffle director running them. Okay. Okay, so this is the group of 400 to 500. And the raffle was started by Alan Langerman, who was married to one of the co-founders, Jessica Langerman. And he had the idea that awarding a Tesla would be a way of both highlighting the issue of carbon pricing, marketing, that issue and climate exchange itself, as well as putting someone into an electric vehicle. And he also was dead set on the fact that we had to pay the taxes, because the last thing in the world he wanted was to have someone win a car and then have to pay tens of thousands of dollars in order to receive the prize. Okay, why don't we spin it a bit. Okay. I'm going to do it every few hundred, I think. And so the carbon pricing awareness raffle started in 2015, and it was done again in 2017, 2018, 2019, 2020. 21, and this one started in 22, and the drawing is here in 23. And so this is our 7th raffle. And it has been a very important source of funds to run our organization, which has the mission of accelerating the decarbonization of the economy through state climate policy, effective and just state climate policy. And Jonah is our research and policy director, here with me helping, and he's going to explain a lot more about that a little later, because I'm going to run out of what I can say. So the Tesla raffle has been, we've changed it a little bit each time. They've had different cars. One year we actually had 3 cars. One year we had 1 car plus 2 early reservations plus cash for the Model 3. So we've tried different variants. We found that a single car and the rest being cash prizes seems to be the way that works best. The first raffle, they had some other prizes, which included electric bikes and electric lawn equipment and electric house cleaning equipment. I think an iRobot was one of the Roomba. And everyone other than the car winner chose cash. So Alan decided he was not going to bother figuring out prizes if everyone was just going to take the cash. So other than the car, we have cash prizes. All right, is this the first? When we finish the first 1,000, I will do a spin again. Okay, we're at it's the 950s. Yeah, we got to reuse those paper clips for next year. We reuse all the plastic envelopes. Unfortunately, the paper envelopes we end up discarding because they have a tamper-resistant seal. I also want to show, we want to stack them the other way if we can. We have control sheets in each of these. So each envelope has been checked as to the contents and making sure that we have all of the tickets in them. And then our auditors are here watching, John and Zach, and they've done some random number sampling. They've checked to make sure any tickets that were invalidated due to, for example, a canceled sale, that those are not showing up, and that everyone who bought one, that they are showing up. So, and they're watching us load here too to make sure we're putting them all in. Again, we have shrunk the tickets this year in order to fit them in better. We had feedback, and we noticed it ourselves, that the tickets were getting the drum was too full. So we've shrunk the ticket considerably from this to this. Now we're in the 1,001. 1,000 to 1,100. Each plastic packet has 100 tickets, 4 envelopes of 25. And as I said, we reuse the paper clips and the plastic envelopes. Unfortunately, the paper envelopes do not get reused. But by shrinking the size of the ticket stubs, we're saving some paper. There are other raffles where they just use a random number generator to generate the prizes. I think that's probably actually more perfectly random because, tickets in a barrel maybe isn't 100% random depending on how they fall and stick and so on. But we believe that the transparency of being able to see the tickets going into the barrel and knowing that we're drawing out of all the tickets is, more trustworthy, I guess, than us just saying we used our computer and Excel came up with a random number and these are the winners. Okay, we're in the 1,300s. You'll notice Jonah and I both have our sleeves up too, just to make sure that we're not nothing up our sleeves. So I guess this is the third time that I've done this loading process, if I'm remembering correctly. Last year it was in a big snowstorm. This year, rolling up our sleeves is not as big a deal because we actually have the heat on here today, which we didn't last year. And by the way, we are at the Old West Church in Boston. It is a very historic church. I wouldn't be able to tell much more than that. Maybe you know more, Jonah. But the Climate Exchange offices were here for several years, up until summer of 2019, I believe it was, when we moved to Back Bay, and then we moved again more recently to Beacon Hill, so close by where we are here, to 1 Beacon Street. But since we used to have a number of people come to these events, we've continued to hold it here, even though since COVID, we basically don't invite anyone to be here in person, and we are only doing the streaming. There's something nostalgic about coming back here. All right, we're up to 1500s and 1600s. All right, let's do another round of
Spin.
spin. Yeah, I'll do that. Tape is getting stuck. Okay.
Yeah,
Actually, I could use this slot. Let's try that. The problem with the slot, though, is I can't like scatter them when I put in. Yeah, so. Well, if I just jam the tape. No, I need more tape. We messed it up too much. Okay, these are 1600. We getting any comments or questions on the? We are going to pull the grand prize first, and I'm going to pin it up here on this bulletin board. So I'll do grand prize, second, third, and fourth, and then fifth, when I pull, I will read. And then we'll do, then I'll read the fourth, third, second, and first. In the past, in order to have more suspense, we pulled the grand prize last, but then there were complaints that someone gets pulled out of the grand prize by winning an earlier prize. So we're doing it in the order of the prize, but we're announcing it in the reverse order in order to make it more exciting. Other questions?
Well, I can turn my mic on and do some back and forth.
Yeah, sure.
Do this like a podcast.
Someone was asking, or just said, wasting paper, question mark?
Well, it's a few hundred sheets of paper, I think, in total. But
Have a physical experience rather than a digital, because people don't trust the random number generator.
yeah, that's it. So that's why we do it. And by shrinking it, we've actually saved a number of sheets.
All right, that's
Sean, you were doing the printing. How many sheets was it of? I think the control sheets are actually more because you have a control sheet per envelope. So we have about 400 sheets of control sheets.
400 control sheets, 26 tickets per sheet stub?
Well, so it's similar.
Yeah.
So it's about 400 sheets of each. So it is a fair amount of paper, but cut myself on the edge there.
it is sharp. The paper's worth it for the cause. That's what we justify ourselves with.
Each envelope really only have one though.
Each envelope has 25 ticket stubs, actually. So you can do the math. 25, how many times is 25 going to 5,000, and that's how many envelopes we're opening.
Well, I'm actually, I'm retired. My field of work was consulting. I was a business consultant, and I worked for IBM. Well, I worked for a couple consulting firms and then went to IBM when they bought a firm I worked for. And I worked for IBM for a dozen years. But I took early retirement package from IBM, and I was interested in doing something more for the climate, and I met someone actually on both boards I think I actually met Alan Langerman first, because I owned an early Tesla, as did he, when he started the Raffle. And then he introduced me to Quinton Zondervan, who's still on our board today, who was one of the founders of Climate Action Business Association. And he asked me to be on the board, and I've been on the board since 2015, I guess it was, and then through the merger. And last year at this time, I was actually acting executive director of Climate XChange because our executive director, our former executive director, Michael, went on paternity leave and then decided to do some other things. And I, instead of stepping in for 3 months, ended up stepping in for 15 months until we hired our new executive director, Paula Ferreira Miani, who started last March, just after the last Raffle. So now all I do is I'm a board member and I am the Raffle director. So I have to deal with whatever headaches we might be having on the Raffle, as well as the fun things like doing this.
That's right.
I'm actually going to grab a Band-Aid.
Yeah, go for it. I saw that. Pal is based in Dallas, so we figured it'd be hypocritical to have her fly out and have GHG emissions for just this drawing. So yes, we're wasting a lot of paper, but at least we didn't fly out any staff for this. We have enough left in the Boston area to do this.
Do you have one? I thought I did, but I don't seem to. Oh, actually, maybe they're in here. Ah, I got one.
If someone's lucky enough to win a prize, can they win a second prize?
What, in this raffle?
Yeah.
If they bought 2 tickets and those 2, and they're a very lucky person, then I guess so. But I think that's rare. And in fact, we've had people who've bought 10 and 20 and more tickets who haven't won any prizes. And I believe our last few car winners actually won their cars with only 1 or 2 ticket purchase. So it really does seem to be, it's not like a lot of things in this society where if you spend more money, you get more. I mean, you do have more odds, but somehow it hasn't turned out that people who bought a lot of tickets won. That's not to say you shouldn't buy a lot of tickets, because we'd love you to buy a lot of tickets, but just telling you our recent experience.
But yes, if you only get 1 ticket, then
Yeah,
you
the
can only
ticket is
win
drawn,
up to
there's
1
no
prize.
replacement. You're drawn and you're out.
Can you explain how the winners will be contacted?
Right after we're done here, we will get on the phone. We will call each winner because we have contact details. And in fact, I don't know if both John and Zach, but usually at least one of them stays around to listen to us call on the phone to make sure we're calling the people who actually won. Though I'd have to say these days people don't answer their phone a lot. We often get voicemail and then someone calls us back about 10 minutes later. Our winner 2 years ago, Paul, he got the voicemail and he'd seen it was a 617 number and hadn't answered it, though he's 617 but living in Florida. And he said he thought, when he listened to it, he thought it was a scam, and his wife said, well, you should call him back and see. And he had bought a ticket, so I don't know why he wouldn't have called back, but he called back and was absolutely floored when he found out that he had won the car, and he said he actually didn't sleep that night. He was so excited.
Some people have been very, very excited. Others have been very, very low energy when we call. And so if you want to be extra high energy when we call, then we can use that as material for next year to show how exciting it is.
We've actually recorded on another phone us calling in hopes that we might get a good reaction and use that. Because when you sign the agreement to accept the prize, you agree to allow us to use your likeness and name. And to shoot video of you getting the car. Unfortunately, that year, the car, it was 2 years ago, and the new Model S's were slow to come out. So the raffle was in February, and he didn't get the car until end of September, which actually also caused us problems because it turned into our next fiscal year. So it makes our revenue numbers look kind of odd because we have 2 raffles in 1 year and no raffles in another year. So, which our auditors enjoy. No, I'm doing my best to make sure, John and Zach, that this year, even if the car isn't ready by June 30th, the end of our fiscal year, that we have agreed to pay either Tesla or Rivian for the car by then, which means we will have exhausted our obligation and we can count the revenue from the ticket sales. So that's our way of getting around that.
Somebody asked, you state the questions that I'm bringing up.
Okay, yeah.
Question, how will the car be delivered / do we get it delivered to local?
Basically what happens is, whether
repeat the question
Tesla, oh, sorry, repeating question, yes, okay. So the question was how do we get
Oh, sure, yeah, I got it.
how do we get the car, and how is the car delivered? So I work with the winner to help them figure out what options they want, and et cetera. And they actually go online and make an account and place the order with Tesla or with Rivian. And then when it comes time for the car to be delivered, and they get the notice to, that it's time to pay, they give me a copy of that. They've already given me a copy of all of the order documents. And then I send a wire from Climate Exchange to Tesla to pay for the car, and then it's just delivered to their home address. Or they pick it up at a local Tesla, service sales center, depending on what, how it works in their state. And we, have requested in our agreement and also in the ticket agreement that we be allowed to take video and/or photos of the delivery. That works when we're nearby. Last year it was in Seattle, and we do have a board member in Seattle, but she was recovering from COVID, was unable to go. So the winner, Chris Cromie, took his own, maybe his wife took the video and sent it to us, and we have that on our website.
Do you need to claim, if you win, do you need to claim any of this on your tax?
What happens is,
Repeat the question first.
sorry. If you win, do you need to claim this on your taxes? Well, the way it works is I call and notify people, and then I send them out a packet of, it's basically an agreement, which is that agreement, as I said, that in return for receiving the prize, they, I'm sure it's, no legal liability or whatever. I guess if they wreck their car, we're not at fault or something, as well as, using their likeness and image and name. And I get their social security number as part of that, as well as I have to have 2 forms of ID, and one being the social security number, the other being usually a driver's license. And then that gets submitted to the Massachusetts Department of Revenue, as well as the IRS. And we pay a withholding taxes, prize taxes against it, and they're not cheap because normally the way it works is you win a prize and then you pay, I think it's 25% against the prize. But in this case, we are paying the tax, not you. And so we have to pay more because the prize itself, the tax becomes part of the prize. So we pay, I think it's 30% or maybe a little more. But then there's the fact that we're also paying the Massachusetts tax. And so the tax paid to Massachusetts becomes taxable federally, and the tax paid federally becomes taxable in Massachusetts. And so we actually have to kind of run through this thing about 3 or 4 times until it gets to near zero. And the effective rate comes out to about, it's a little under 43%. So that's how we end up with a $250,000 prize value, because the Model S Plaid with all options, or Model X Plaid is the highest one, with all options is something like 165, and then we have to pay sales tax on top of that, which in Massachusetts is 6 1/4, I think. But that's the amount we will pay. And then there's the tax on top of that, which is the prize tax. So we pay all that, and we report it to the IRS, and we send you in January a form showing this is what was withheld, this is what was paid on your behalf, this is your winnings. So if you do your own taxes, you just use that and input that. Otherwise, you give it to your accountant. But you are covered for the taxes on the prize.
If the winner chooses a Rivian, what sort of lead time are they looking at before taking delivery?
It's going to depend on.
So the question is, lead time on Rivian.
Lead time on a Rivian until delivery, if they choose a Rivian. I have worked with Rivian and spoken with a contact at Rivian to ensure that we will be able to get it relatively quickly. But I can guarantee you that the R1T truck will be faster than the R1S SUV, just because they've been producing the trucks for, I guess, about a year now, whereas the SUVs, they didn't start until at least mid-year last year, and they're still ramping those up. So, I mean, it will depend. If you already have a reservation, that's great. We can make use of that and get that faster. We have a couple reservations ourselves, which in theory would be sometime this year, but we've also requested some assistance in accelerating it from Rivian. So I can't give you an exact date, though.
Future raffles, do you think they'll be adding more cars like Ford and Cybertruck?
Question is, in future raffles, will they be adding more cars to this raffle, like the Cybertruck maybe?
Or the Ford Lightning, or
what about a Porsche Taycan?
I've thought about all of them. I am inclined to add only vehicles like Tesla and Rivian that are sold direct. And the reason for that is that if you buy a car through a dealer, particularly a car like the Lightning or an EV that's currently in high demand, your price is variable. And the location is fixed because you have to go through a dealer. Whereas for us, for the prize, what we really want is the price fixed and the location variable. So buying direct from a manufacturer is a much smoother way to go. So we're going to look into it further for next year, but it does seem to me that continuing with car companies that sell direct is going to be a better play for us.
I know we don't want another middleman in the process, but you probably don't either.
All right, we're up to 3451. And it's not filling up very much, so this is nice to see.
Plenty of room, yeah.
Okay, so we've got 3,500 in here right now, right? That's 3,501?
Yep.
I'm going to spin a little more again.
While you're spinning, I'll do my intro because I haven't even introduced myself. But my name is Jonah Kerman-Faber. I serve as Policy and Research Director of Climate XChange. I've been at the organization for 5 years. And because I'm up here and I'm mic'd, you're also welcome to ask questions about climate change and policy. It doesn't necessarily have to be just about the raffle. And I'll do my best to answer those too. You know, I think there's a mix of different kinds of folks who are in this raffle. There's those of you who know Climate XChange really well from our past and follow our work and our work as a nonprofit organization. And there's those of you who might not be familiar and got an ad for the raffle and were really interested in getting the car. And you may or may not be really into climate change policy and work. So those types of questions are super welcome as well. And I'll do my best to show why I'm a policy and research director or why I shouldn't be.
Someone asked, is the likeness requirement absolute? I don't like to show my face.
Sorry, I always forget. Is the likeness requirement absolute? I don't like to show my face. I think it is. We don't necessarily have to have you full, you could be standing in the distance next to your car talking or something like that. But we do, think it's important, both to get the word out, but also to demonstrate the trustworthiness of the raffle to be able to show that, here's the person who won. And that is kind of important because I can tell you, I post about the raffle on a lot of Tesla and other EV forums, and one of the first things that someone invariably says is, it's a scam. Even though we've been doing this for 7 years now and do it with complete transparency. So I have to explain why it isn't a scam, and one of the ways to explain that is to have on our website the people who have won in videos or photos with their cars.
Whoever asks that question, if you win, we'll talk and we'll figure something out.
All right, so we have 3 questions. I'll give you the easiest one to answer first. Do you audit the bin after the drawing to ensure it contains every ticket you expect it to contain? For example, I noticed one ticket fell on the floor that was picked up.
The question is whether we audit the bin after the fact while we're loading the drum.
I would say no, because it's just a jumble of tickets, and it would be a lot of work to go through and count them all. We are careful. I don't know how that one, it probably slipped out of the back slit here. But that's one reason why they're here too, because they're watching us to make sure that we aren't missing any.
Yeah. For those who are who are watching the stream, we have 4 eyes on us off the camera, making sure that we're doing everything correctly. And so 2
of whom are our auditors from Walden Company, John and Zach.
So while we do want to stream this to show you guys and be transparent, the true accountability is here in person with the group we have watching us.
Someone asked if we have the opportunity to use the federal EV tax credit.
Do the winners have the ability to use the federal EV tax credit?
Is the winner or the organization?
The organization does not, but the winner does, because the winner is directly ordering the car and receiving the car. We're just sending the money to pay for it. So they will have the ability to claim it however they have the ability as if they were just buying it directly. Unfortunately, though, for the winner, I mean, the winner's fortunate in winning it, but at this point, the new IRA incentives are basically capped on a dollar level. So if you're choosing the Model S Plaid and the Model X Plaid, or the Rivians loaded up with 4 motors, et cetera, and the larger battery pack, you're going to be most likely above the clip level for federal EV tax credits. You may still be eligible, depending on the state, for something in the state. And even, some states, you don't get money, but you get to use the carpool lane or something like that. Others, they do have rebates. But these days, most of them, I think, are either capped based on the value of the car or based on your income. So that's, or both. And in fact, the IRA is based on both. So there's a cap on income and there's a cap on value of the car.
Do you think there's going to be a bigger push for more open types of EV chargers, so range anxiety goes away?
I certainly hope so, and I think the announcement that just came out this past week that Tesla, in order to get some of the, I can't remember if it's the infrastructure bill funding or the IRA
You do a
funding.
spin. This is,
I just did a
another
spin.
tab. Awesome.
Yeah, I just did a spin.
Oh, and the
Okay.
question was about whether there's going to be a lot more chargers in the future to deal with range anxiety.
Yeah.
Might be fantastic.
Yeah,
know,
really.
we get a third
I
mic
keep
here.
forgetting to repeat the questions. Also, my name's Peter Kirby, by the way. I don't think I ever actually said that when Jonah introduced himself. Yeah, so Tesla just announced that in order to get some of the federal funding for the charger build-out, that they are adding a number of thousands of chargers, I can't remember the exact number, that will be using the CCS standard, which is not what Tesla uses currently. Tesla has their own standard. So they will have chargers that can do both. Meanwhile, that money is also going to fund people like Electrify America, which is an organization that was started by Volkswagen, or funded by Volkswagen as part of the Dieselgate scandal, and that has put in a few thousand chargers so far, high power chargers. And then there are also other companies like EVgo and ChargePoint and so on. So I definitely see them expanding. Right now, clearly Tesla has the best network. That's one of the concerns with a Rivian, is that the long distance network at this point is still not as good, but this announcement that Tesla's opening up some of their network may help. By the way, you probably hear sirens in the background. The Old West Church is very near Mass General Hospital, so we tend to hear a lot of sirens here. Ambulances going to Mass General.
Jonah, this one's for you. Is there a site where a specific climate-related question can be asked and answered by an expert?
Is there a site where a climate-related question can be asked and answered by an expert? Yes, the answer is absolutely. We are one of those websites, actually. And we haven't done too much in-depth explanation of the organization, what it currently works on. So maybe I'll give a quick explanation of that, and then we'll relate back to the question. So Climate XChange, as Peter explained during the beginning of the stream, used to work on carbon pricing. It used to work on carbon pricing specifically in Massachusetts and Maryland. While we still do continue carbon pricing work, our organization's focus has very much shifted in a new strategic direction that is open to all forms of policy. Because we realize that when we're working at the state level, there's 50 states, and there's so many policies in any given state that you need to work on, and each state is different. So that if you really want to make a difference when you're working at the state level like we do, we need to be dealing with all forms of policy. That includes electricity policy and EV charging policy, transportation, buildings, climate governance, environmental justice. There's so many ways to work the problem. And so the other thing that we realize in our strategic vision is that there are a lot of people working on climate change, and specifically on climate policy across all these states. And not everyone has all the information they need, nor the resources. So who's backing them up? You know, if you're working on EV charging in your state, who's there to help you, right? And so part of our new strategic vision is to be there to help people who are working on this issue in their state. So we have something called the State Climate Policy Network, which currently has it's approaching 18,000 members across all 50 states. And that network, the entire purpose of its existence is to serve the environmental movement. And so if you have a question about policy in your state, we're here to help you answer it. And if we don't know the answer, then we'll help you find the right expert to answer that question. So this is very explicitly a service that we offer. And the other part of this identity that we like to emphasize is that we know we're not the only ones working on this. The other part of that, there's a lot of organizations out there to help, and it can be a lot to navigate, like who you go to for a given information, who specializes in what. It's a lot even just to navigate who is out there to help. And so that's, again, why we put heavy emphasis on helping you find the right person to answer your question if it's not us. And it does not have to be us for you to ask the question. So for us, the right question to ask would be about state policy. You know, what is happening in my state? What is happening in other states? What's the best resource I can find to advance policy X, Y, or Z? That's really our specialty. There's other aspects of the climate change movement that you can go to other organizations on, such as what is the climate science? Or what can I as an individual do to reduce my own given actions? These are types of questions that other groups might be able to answer better, but we're down to help. You know, this is a free, open membership for everybody. There's no fees for being a member of the State Climate Policy Network. All it is your email, and we will get you the latest news every other week. We'll get you on events with other like-minded individuals across states who are working on climate change issues, and we offer direct service to you. If you reach out with questions, we can help you answer. And for some of you, that's more than just answering a question. For some of you, it's been actually helping write a bill or help with your policy strategy in a given state. You know, a lot of times we're working with a coalition in a state, and that's who we're helping. So that's very much our impact model, is to help others succeed in climate change work, because it's just too big a problem to take on yourself.
But I think it is important, though, to mention that the focus is state-level climate policy. I mean, occasionally we have a speaker who talks about county or municipal level, but our focus is state level. And most of the people who are asking the questions and asking for our help are actors involved in state-level climate policy, be they legislators, legislative aides, elected officials, appointed officials, or activists. Those tend to be the constituents that we're working with and supporting.
Absolutely, yeah. Those are the ones we focus on. And the Tesla Raffle is a big part of how we can do that. You know, this raffle helps fund this work to help state actors advance climate policy. So that's, you know, one of the biggest things that your purchase of a ticket goes towards, is helping advance state-level climate policy. The other major program that the Tesla Raffle helps fund is our state climate policy dashboard. And this is open to the public. It's free on our website. It is managed by Climate Exchange staff. And that dashboard is a free database of 65 policies across all 50 states. We track everything from electricity policy to buildings to transportation, all the kind of topics you could be wondering about with your state. And we build that because we want this information to be open to everybody. You know, the only way that that information can be aggregated and made available is someone has to do it. And we find value in there being an open source of information for everybody in the movement to use. And that's another thing that the Tesla Raffle goes towards, is us building and maintaining this very extensive database for everybody.
Okay, so I have the last folder here, and as you'll be aware, there are 5,000 tickets in the raffle. This folder and this envelope is 5,001 to 5,006. And the reason for that is during the course of the raffle, we had 6 tickets that ended up being either someone contacted us after buying 2 and saying, I meant to buy 1, somehow it processed 2, or there are a couple of cases where I guess someone bought it and didn't remember buying it, or maybe someone else on their card bought it. So we had about 6 6 of these cancellations, and so we have here 5,001, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. So there we have it. We have all the tickets in the drum now, and boy, is it a lot less crowded than last year. I'm very pleased about that.
Are there any other questions?
Someone asked, oh yeah, do you think the elimination of the EV rebate for cars not built in the US is a step backwards?
Do I think the elimination of the EV rebate for cars not built in the US is a step backwards? And by the way, Jonah is now going through all of the envelopes that we just emptied to make sure that we got everything out. But the tickets are all, as you saw, paper clipped together, so it would be hard to leave one in because you grab that pack and then we pull off the clip. So back to the question. It does seem like the new EV credits are a little overly complicated, and they're still trying to figure them out. You know, because I think you had different lobbies. You had the Made in America lobby, you had the union lobby. You know, there were all of these different debates going on about, do you get more for union content versus less, and what should be the price cutoff, and what should be the income cutoff? So it has gotten a lot more complicated. I don't think it's completely shut off to not made in the US. I think, though, they're capped at $3,750 instead of the full $7,500. I think, but I may be wrong on that. I can't remember. It went through so many variations. I do think it probably should be a little more open, though I also understand the desire to push for more, manufacturing and supply chain of EVs in the U.S.
Why did you blame Elon Musk for the sales slump?
I didn't blame Elon Musk. I had people contacting me, telling me I'm not interested in winning a Tesla. And we were seeing the sales slump, and this was, we've done this, this is our 7th time, and we've never had, if you look at the curve of our sales this year, the launch was in September, and we were a little slow getting our advertising going, but we had that up by October, and October kind of went like this, and then late October, particularly after the Twitter acquisition, we started getting emails from people saying, I love your organization, want to support your cause, but I'm not interested in winning a Tesla. And many that were worded a lot more strongly than that, I can tell you that. And so people just, were, I think it's a combination of factors, though. I think one is that. One is the fact that Teslas have become just more common, so they're not quite as aspirational as they were certainly, some years ago. Well, I think the first couple raffles, we were educating people about what is an EV and what is a Tesla. The next few was like, oh my gosh, a Tesla, I'd love to win that. And now it's become, oh, I see Teslas all over the place every day. So I was already thinking about adding the Rivian or something like that for next year, just to have something more unique and new. There are also other Tesla raffles out there. Clearly we heard very direct feedback that I no longer, am interested in winning a Tesla. And so we decided to accelerate that shift. We checked with our raffle attorneys first to make sure that, or attorney, to make sure that it was okay to change in the middle, and they said as long as you're adding options, that's well and good. People, they're getting more, not less, and so we added the 2 Rivians as an option. I also heard from a few people that because the Tesla stock price had dropped so much, that they were less able to afford buying tickets, particularly if they were buying tickets as gifts, at year end. So I didn't blame it on on Elon Musk, I had people telling me it was because of Elon Musk they weren't buying tickets, and we had to do something because this raffle and the funds it generates are so critical to Climate Exchange's operation.
Can you remind people what the 2 tickets?
Okay, yeah. Yeah, for people just joining, because we're now coming up on 3 o'clock, we had feedback last year that the raffle drum was so full that, you know, it wasn't randomizing. They weren't getting mixed up enough. And we, you know, felt the same. And so we sat down last summer and did some thinking after the raffle was over and before the new raffle started. And we debated, you know, all kinds of ideas, even getting a lotto ball machine where we draw the numbers from bouncing balls. But with 5 different prizes, that was going to be a lot of balls to pick, and it just didn't seem, you know, some people had said we like the sort of real feel of having the paper in the drum. And so what we did is, this is a stub from last year, a voided stub. I'm going to cover the name, but and then this is a stub also voided from this year. So you can see the difference. It's I think about half or maybe a little less in size. And so as you can see, the drum is nowhere near full, and we put in all 5,000 tickets.
I just want you to move the tickets that are stuck to the roof. If you would get them out.
Yeah, well, before we do the drawing, I will. I'm going to spin it a few more times. Yeah, unfortunately, this lucite has some static qualities. It came packed in styrofoam, and there were little bits of styrofoam all over it when I unpacked it this morning. Okay, so it is 3 o'clock now. Have we suddenly seen a large number of people joining, or?
There's 917 viewers.
Okay, and how many was that a little earlier?
Last time I checked, it was like 617.
Okay, well, I'm not going to do it quite yet. I will just explain a little bit what we've been doing for the past hour. My name is Peter Kirby. I am a board member of Climate Exchange, which means I'm a volunteer, and and I'm also the raffle director, and have been in charge of the raffle for the past 3 years in this drawing. We are at the Old West Church in Boston, very close to Beacon Hill. It's a very historic church, and the reason we are here is that Climate Exchange for several years, up until 2019, had its offices in the upstairs of the church. It was a very good rent and an interesting place to be. And we still feel affinity with the pastor and with the church, and she's happy to have us come and do the raffle here, particularly when we're inviting other people to come. This year it's just on live stream. For the past hour, we've been standing here, and the noise you hear is checking the envelopes to make sure they're all empty. But those envelopes, we opened packs of like this with 100 tickets in each, subdivided into 4 paper envelopes like this, and we've loaded them all and spun it up. So all the tickets are in here now, and we have spun it. Our auditors, John and Zach from Walden Company, have been watching over this. They also spent over an hour with us earlier. They have a master list of all the purchases, an Excel sheet. They have done a number generator, random numbers, 40 of them, and they would call out a number and have us find the envelope, open it, and show them the ticket and ensure that it matched with the purchase list. And so that is a sampling process to confirm that all the tickets are there, and we've also done the same on any tickets that were canceled to make sure that they were not there. So now we've loaded them all in here, and we will be doing the drawing in a minute. How many are we up to in terms of?
Hit 1,000. I can't give you an exact number because it rounds to the thousands now.
Rounds to the thousands. Okay, so I'm not going to wait till it goes to 2,000, but I wanted to wait a little bit. I also want to give a brief history of Climate Exchange before I do the drawing, which is, and what we are. We are, because many of you have purchased tickets just because you're interested in Tesla, others because you're, or Rivian, others because you're interested in climate. And so we are Climate Exchange. We're a 501c3 nonprofit based in Boston. We have currently 9 employees, I think. Our executive director is actually based in Dallas, and because she is there and we didn't want to generate emissions, she did not fly up for this. I am based in Boston, so I'm in charge of this. We are a 501c3, but that does not mean your tickets are tax deductible because they have a value of winning. So if you make a donation, it's tax deductible, but the tickets themselves are not tax deductible. And the prize, we will pay the taxes on the car prize because we don't want you to win a car and have to pay thousands of dollars to receive it. The cash prizes, we deduct any required withholding and report that to the IRS before giving you the cash. And Climate Exchange, our mission is, I should actually probably read the actual mission off the, all right, yeah. We are supporting the, enactment of good climate policy at the state level. That's not the exact words. The mission is
To achieve a rapid and equitable transition to a zero-emission economy by advancing state policy.
Yeah, I'll repeat that with my mic on now. So our mission officially is to achieve a rapid and equitable transition towards a zero emissions economy by advancing state climate policy.
yeah.
And by state, we mean United States.
Yeah. And Jonah, those of you who were here for the loading, Jonah explained how we support state level actors involved in climate policy, whether they be activists in organizations like Climate Exchange, but within a given state, legislators, legislative aides, state executive officials, and local officials. We do, they're getting some of that information as well. And elected officials or appointed officials, or but our focus is on the states, and because that really is where the rubber hits the road on climate policy. There are even things like the IRA, the Inflation Reduction Act, which has a huge climate portion in it. That is dedicating a bunch of money for a bunch of things around climate, but it's really up to the states to determine how to invest that money, how to direct rebates, how to set up programs. And surprisingly, the states often don't talk to each other a lot about what they're doing. Now, it's not everything in one state's applicable to another because they have different geographies, they have different populations, they're different balance of urban versus rural, different industries. Some are more in the energy industry than others. So there's lots of different things that they have to adjust to, but there's also a lot that they can learn from each other. And so that's one of the things we try to do especially is connect the dots, help people learn from each other, help the states that are leading in a given area share that information with others. And our state climate policy dashboard that you can go to our website at climate-exchange.org /dashboard is a great place, or no, /network/dashboard, right? Mm-hmm. Is a great place to learn about the climate policies in your state and look at the climate policies in other states and how they compare. All right.
They're ready.
I'm
Enough
gonna
about
knock-
climate policy.
I'm going to knock these off a little bit. I think we've got enough people online.
Do you want to give a brief explanation of what you're going to do with the
Okay.
tickets as we draw them?
Yes. Actually, I'll spin a little more just so that people who just joined can see the spinning process. We've been loading and spinning for the past hour, so I think they're pretty well mixed up. The only issue is some of them stick to the side due to static, so I will try to get them off. I am going to draw the grand prize first, and because that way everyone has a chance to win the grand prize. I will not read it out, though. I will just take it and put it up here on the leftmost pin here. Then I will draw the second prize, the third prize, and the fourth prize, and pin them all up under the watchful eye of the camera and everyone here.
How about we switch? I'll go on this side of you.
Okay.
And that way it will always pass in front of us.
Okay,
And
all right.
The ticket will never pass behind the
And as
field
I
of view.
noted, we both rolled up our sleeves, so we have nothing up our sleeves.
Nothing.
Okay, all right. We've shaken this quite a bit, and I won't look while I do it.
Move these out of
Here
the
we
way.
go. This is for the grand prize. I have a ticket. I'm going to turn it upside down, pin it far left. That is the grand prize ticket. And by the way, just again for people who just joined, these are two voided tickets that are just here to demonstrate the size last year and the size this year and why the barrel is not so full as it was last year.
Before you do the next one, someone just pointed out, your explanation of canceled tickets says there should be less tickets, not 6 more. So can you explain how the 5,006 number exists?
Okay, so I mentioned that there are numbered up to 5,006. And the reason for that is that there are 5,000 tickets, but along the way, 6 people either bought a ticket and bought 2 by mistake and so canceled one, or bought a ticket and later contacted us and said, no, I didn't mean to buy a ticket, or contacted their credit card company and said, I never bought a ticket, maybe because they didn't recognize the charge, I don't know. But 6 tickets got canceled along the way during it. So those numbers were retired, and we were able to add on additional numbers beyond 5,000. So that's how we end up with tickets up to 5,006, because along the way there are 6 numbers that were voided and that were not in the packets and not in this barrel.
Right, so the total is still 5,000.
Yes, the total is
tickets.
5,000.
Someone wants you to stand behind the table when you pick up the tickets, so you
All right.
don't do anything, shady when you turn your back to the camera.
I will
You're smart. We could have done that the
squeeze
whole
in
time.
behind.
Could have been behind
All
there. We
right.
could face you guys the whole
But
time.
I don't want to be looking, so. All right, this is for
Second
the
place.
second prize. Okay, and I don't. All right, still won't. Problem is, if I roll it again, they'll get stuck on the sides again. So I'm just stirring now at this point. All right, so this is for the third prize. Okay. Again, we're not showing it.
Can you sing a song while you're drawing the ticket, just to make sure it's fair?
I'm not sure why singing a song would make sure it's fair, but
If we have to
you don't
sing,
want to hear me sing.
the tickets are going to be $300 next year
Yeah.
if you want us to sing. Yeah.
Sean, who's here helping operate the stream, our operations associate, he was earlier playing the piano. I suggested he play the piano while we load it, but he declined. Okay, so this is for the fourth prize. I got 2 there.
They want you to attach a wire to your back and hang from the ceiling. Don't know what for, but they just want to see that.
To pass the time.
All right.
Give the people what they want.
To make sure there's no way I'm touching anything else. Huh? Is that it? All right, here goes for the 5th prize, and this one I'm going to look at and read as soon as I get it. Okay. All right. For the 5th prize, which is the cash prize of $2,000, ticket number 3110, Oscar Jerkins of Maryland.
I'll hold up the camera. How's this look? Good? You guys can see it?
It's very blurry.
Very blurry? How's that?
Yeah, it's good. Though. Let's just read it off again. Why not?
Yeah. One more time. That's ticket number 3110, Oscar Jerkins of Essex, Maryland.
Yeah, Greg's putting it in the chat too.
Okay.
All right.
All right, now I will take the fourth prize. This is for $3,000 cash. Ticket number 1778, Jake Perez of Virginia.
Again, that's 1778, Jake Perez of Virginia. And I apologize if these aren't very legible. It's not focusing very well. But these will all go in the chat to make sure that you guys have a clean record of the winners.
Okay. Now we have the third prize, which is $5,000 cash. And it is ticket number 2481, Landon Deemer of Pennsylvania.
Again, third place prize is ticket number 2481, Landon Deemer of Pennsylvania.
All right. And now the second prize, which is $10,000 cash, is ticket number 4746, William Lannon of New York.
Last minute purchase. Again, second place prize is ticket number 4746, William Lannon of New York. Oh yeah, I can do like this. How's that work?
Yeah, it's legible.
Okay.
All right, now we need the drum roll.
Yeah. Oh, you got it.
Okay. All right. Here we have the grand prize winner, ticket number 1098. It's Oliver Bouchier of Massachusetts. Congratulations.
Congratulations. Grand prize winner, number 1098, Oliver Bouchier of Massachusetts.
Okay. Well, it looks like once again they're all male, or seem to be. I think, well, our ticket buyers are overwhelmingly male, but I kind of hope to see some women win, but somehow it doesn't seem that has happened the past, this year or last year. It has happened in the past, but so I just want to again express my thanks for everyone who participated in this raffle. This is an amazing generator of the funds we need to support all of the work we do, the work Jonah and Sean and Ruby here do with the dashboard, and the work we do in Maryland, and the work we do with the state climate policy network. And thank our auditors, John and Zach, for being here today and helping us make sure that we got everything in there and did everything correctly.
Can you just clarify one more thing? For non-winners, can we deduct to the ticket price?
No, for non-winners, can you deduct the ticket price? I mentioned that earlier. I should have probably mentioned it since 3 o'clock. No, you may not, unfortunately. IRS rules are that though we are a 501c3, when you bought the ticket, you were buying a chance to win something. So it is not considered a tax-deductible donation because it had a value associated with it. I believe, I don't think it's worth it for someone buying one ticket, but if there are people who are heavy gamblers out there, there is a way to somehow report gambling losses. And theoretically, the $250 ticket would be a gambling loss, but I don't think it's worth it for one ticket. If you bought a lot, it might be worth it, or if you lost a lot of money on the Super Bowl, it might be worth it. But otherwise, no. And but since we are a 501c3, if you'd like to make a donation, we would be very happy to take donations, and those are indeed tax deductible. And there's a button on our website and on the Raffle site for just straight donations. I've had people contact me and say, I get your Raffle emails, but I'm not interested in winning a car. Can I just make a donation? And I say, yes, by all means, please.
For those, if there's any winners on the stream right now, you want to clarify what happens next that we
Okay.
have these selections?
Yep, so we have our 5 winners listed here, and we are now going to adjourn to the other room where it's a little bit warmer and make phone calls. We'll call the grand prize winner first, then second, then third, fourth, and fifth. And usually they don't answer, and I leave a voicemail, and then they call back. We will also send emails. We will also post the list of the winners' numbers and names on our website, on the Raffle website, as well as there should be an email going out to all ticket buyers, I think tonight, explaining who won and thanking all of you for your support, because this organization could not exist without the support of you who have purchased tickets for the raffle. And this is again why there was the question earlier about the sales started off slowly, and I was very concerned because without doing this raffle in a reasonably successful way, and I never thought at that point we would actually sell out, but we managed to sell out just 13 hours before our deadline, Wednesday, if we hadn't sold a substantial number of the tickets, it would be very hard to continue to fund this organization and to keep it going. And so, this state policy, all of the information we're sharing, all the connections we're making, would not be happening. So we're very grateful to all of you for participating in the raffle. So thank you again, and I think we will sign off the stream.
Thank you.